Hi everyone, Nick here, and I'm back, in POG form, on Gran Turismo Sport. Now, you may have noticed that I've not uploaded any Gran Turismo Sport videos recently. In fact, I've not even been playing the game, as my time has been taken up playing other hardcore racing sim games, like F1 2018, and Pokemon Let's Go. But seeing as there's a new FIA season which started on Tuesday, I figured it was time to hop back in and give the game another go. So let's get started with the Nations Cup. So the first race back in was round Dragon Trail Seaside. Now this is one of my personal favourite tracks on the game, and I've done pretty well at it before, so great place to start for me, and one of the reasons it enticed me back into the game. We're driving the Toyota SFR Racing Concept. Now, we have to drive an N300 class car. A lot of people were driving the Ferrari F50 detuned. I did give that a go because I thought, why not? It's a nice car, let's give it a go. But I absolutely hated the way it handled, and it never seemed to stop at the corners, and you could tell it was a detuned car by the way it was handling. So I decided to sidestep that and then go back for the Toyota SFR. Unfortunately, it didn't do me much good, as you'd have seen there from that complete hash I made of the hairpin. Still, it wasn't actually too far from my personal best, and my previous best did suffer quite a lot towards the end of the lap due to traffic getting in the way, so there was still definitely an opportunity to improve on my current 15th place. You'll also notice that I completely messed up the timing of this qualifying run. I only have 9 seconds left to complete my lap and start a new one, which is never going to happen when I've got at least another 20-30 seconds left to go. So again, not really the ideal qualifying session here, and you can kind of tell that I haven't been playing the game very much and have forgotten a few things. Anyway, we go across the line to see how we've done in qualifying, and we have done a 2:05.336. By the fact that you can't even see my name on the leaderboard by default, you know that that was not a good time. In fact, we have to scroll down a little bit to find myself down in 15th place. Oh dear. Fortunately, no one else managed to pip us, so 15th was confirmed on the grid for the delightful Sprite Toyota SFR. I guess we know what the S in SFR means now. And all we wanted to do from here was have a good, solid race. Now obviously, as this was I think my first proper competitive race since October, I wasn't expecting to win or anything silly like that. I just basically wanted to have a nice race and do well. Try not to crash, try not to ruin anyone else's race, and just feel my way back into the game. So we come up to the real turn 1 here, and kind of half think maybe could have had a go there if we'd been super brave on the brakes. We're not at the stage where I'm going to be super brave on the brakes, but we get a place here when Heedbor goes wide and slows down. I'm going to guess he's Scottish, and we're up into 14th place. Coming up to the more difficult than it looks right-hander. Keep an eye on the radar, there's a bit of a dive bomb behind us, and Sor Passante is going to be right on our tail going through the S's. Fortunately, not close enough to actually try and have a go through there. And that's quite fortunate because I was struggling through these S's quite a bit to try and actually make sure that I don't go wide in one and compromise my entrance into another one. Didn't have as bad a time as Nanard there, who has gone off, and someone has disconnected from ahead, so I'm now in the dizzy heights of 12th place. Now, you remember in qualifying I made a complete mess of the hairpin up ahead. I was very cautious as a result of that, and maybe wasn't as attacking as I could have been. Still went a little bit wide though, and as you can see on the radar, CV Moxell behind me is going to have a bit of a run on me. Fortunately, he decides bus stop chicane, not the best place to try and throw it up the inside, so he bides his time. We go through here, not too badly. Maybe lift a little bit more there. The car ahead has had a bit of a mare, and we've gone past them, so we're up into 11th. So that's good, but then CV Moxell is going to come from behind like an absolute rocket and then fly past us, have the inside line into the final turn, so that's him up into 11th. I momentarily think about trying to get the switch back, get the accelerator down nice and early so I get a run on him down the straight, but it doesn't really work. He's got a bit of a buffer now, and unless he makes some kind of mistake on the straight, which seems unlikely, he's going to be safe into turn 1. We have a quick flick back to see what's behind us as well, to see if anything's going on there. It's not, so we're going to hold position in 12th. Now, fast forward a few corners and we're heading down towards the S's. Now, unfortunately for us, Heat Ball behind us is getting a bit of a run on us and is going to go up the inside. So we figure, why not? Let's try and actually defend this. So we give him space on the apex, so that we've got the inside line into the next corner. And we're slightly ahead, but we give him the room and we have to lift off to stop ourselves from going into the gravel, which then also costs us another place as another driver goes through. Maybe if I just left that one and just let him go, I would have only lost 1 place rather than 2. Who knows? Anyway, the cars in front of us are having a bit of a battle here. One of them wisely decides to let the other one go through ahead into the bus stop chicane, because 2 into 1 there just doesn't work. So we're going to follow them through and hope that maybe one of them makes a mistake. And we get our wish very quickly as he clips the inside, hits the wall on the outside, and we are through into 13th place. Now, fast forward on to lap 7, and in all honesty, not much has really happened. I felt like I was driving okay, not too badly. I was keeping touch with the cars ahead, but I wasn't really making any ground. That said, one of the cars in front has actually got a time penalty. They're going to have to serve that at some point in the lap, so confident we're going to at least move up 1 place. We're also going to try and get past CV Moscow up in front by trying to get a better run through the last corner than him. Tried it a couple of laps before, didn't get it to work. This time though, we're right on his tail. With a bit of a slipstream, should be able to have a go into turn 1. Not really gaining a massive amount here. Seems very steady. I mean, we're both in the same car, so it kind of makes sense. But we're going to just go for the inside line here. Going to see if we can outbrake him into the corner. We go for it. Car in front goes into a wall, so much for getting past him because of penalties. And we're still neck and neck with Moscow as we go through the chicane. He had the inside line to the second bit. We've got a better run than him. And you can see we're just edging ahead. He nopes out of the corner going through there and decides to hold position behind me. So we're up into 11th place. And that would be where we finished. We didn't really have much chance of catching the cars ahead. One of them does have a penalty, but I think it's only a second and we don't actually manage to overtake him. And Curriculum Vitae Moscow behind us doesn't have the pace to close in on us. So we come home with a not terribly shabby 11th place. So that 11th place is going to give us a magnificent 310 points in our first Nations Cup race in a while. Again, I mean, you can see that we went above 4 places, so not too bad. Anyway, on to the Manufacturers Series. I did actually want to drive for a different team other than Porsche this season. I'll be completely honest on that one. The only problem was I planned to decide which team I was going to drive for on Tuesday. And then they brought the calendar dates forward so that the FIA races started on Tuesday. So thanks for that one. So in the absence of knowing anything about how the cars are handling nowadays, I figured I'll go with the safest bet and stick with what I knew. So the first race of the Manufacturers Series this season was at Lago Maggiore, as I'm reliably informed it's pronounced correctly, and we're driving the Group 3 cars, so I'm in the Porsche 911, using the classic old Spotify livery from all my previous other races in it. Now, I do really like this track. It's again one of my favourites in the game. The only slightly sticking point is we're doing it in reverse. Not a massive fan of it round the other way. I prefer it the normal way round. Still, my pace wasn't disastrous. I felt like I was going okay in practice, and this qualifying lap felt okay up until the last couple of corners, where I get a bit too greedy and then do that. Completely mess the last corner up. Absolute nightmare. So we end up crossing the line doing a 2 minute 1.3. So obviously we had to have another go because that just wasn't good enough. Our second run wasn't too bad. Going into the final sector we were 3 tenths up on our previous best. And obviously we had a hell of a lot of time to make up in the last corner or so. So we made sure we didn't do anything silly there. Go through the last corner, all good, all straight. Now we can floor throttle and we dip into the 1 minute 59s with a 1:59.7. Now you can see top left that's temporarily put us in 5th place, which would be an absolute result if you ask me. Unfortunately we couldn't stay there. We did have this next lap to try and improve on, but the soft tyres, they just don't last on this track, and although I was up on the first half of the lap, second half of the lap through the S's and last few corners, it just wasn't going to happen. But as a few people did improve, we started 9th on the grid. Again, top half, not too unhappy with that. Now again, the plan here is to try and keep it simple, to try and get a nice solid race in. Don't spin, don't crash into anyone else, just to try and ease myself in. Again, I'm using this almost as a practice to try and get back up to speed with this game. So cross the line to start the actual race proper, and we have already got a car behind us right on our tail. So Stephen 85, so good they named him twice, has gone up the inside there, and you know, fairly decent. We'll let him have that, and we're down to 10th already. So the plan here is going to be try and just keep on his tail. Now the other thing I should mention is that I've gone for an extremely conservative tyre strategy here. A lot of people have been going for a 2-stopper using softs for all 3 stints. Some have been going soft mediums. I think I've seen a couple of people trying softs if their tyres and cars allow that, then great. I've gone mediums. It's not particularly aggressive, I'll be honest, but again, as my strategy was to try and keep out of trouble, I just wanted to try and get through the race with the minimum amount of fuss, and if that helped me avoid any issues of sliding around in the S's, going wide and all that kind of thing, then so be it. Now fast forwarding to lap 2, and we're going to see that already that whole plan of staying out of trouble is going to go wrong. We're going to get too aggressive on the throttle, we're going to lose it there, we're going to spin around 360 degrees and pretty much end up on the apex of the corner. So, you know, we ended up in a good place, I suppose. Not the usual way you attack that corner, but we only lost 1 place as well, so it's not too bad overall. Now we're going to skip on to lap 3 now, and we have overtaken one driver who drove off the track and hit a wall. Great. And you can also notice that the 2 cars ahead of us have got penalties, so they're going to have to serve those shortly. We're actually really close to the car in front, Yamu 17, so maybe we would have been able to overtake him anyway, but as he's going to be slowing down for 3 seconds, we don't need to bother. And we don't need to bother with his mate up ahead either, so that is us up into 8th place. And again, we're in the top half of the field, so at this point I was quite happy with the way that things were going. I also knew that people were going to start pitting as well, so those people who were running the soft strategy and going for the 2 stops, we're going to have to start pitting, as you can see on the leaderboard on the left hand side. So we're going to start making a little bit of progress up the field potentially. The problem was that I was starting to struggle on my tyres. Despite going for the harder ones, I was finding the tyre wear a little bit rough. Again, chalk it up to lack of practice with this game. We're going to go through the S's, we're going to go so far wide, it's unbelievable. Lose it slightly there, we're going to lose a place to Stephen again, and we're going to go through this corner, not particularly well, we're going to run wide, we're going to have to lift off, and we're going to lose 8th place as well. Not great. However, we are going to regain 8th place again, as the car in front goes way wide, and we don't basically. So that's us back into 8th place then. Now we still had at least 1 more lap into our pit stop. I wasn't sure whether I was going to pit at the end of lap 5 or the end of lap 6, leaning towards 5 to just get it over and done with, but we weren't sure. Anyway, we're too busy thinking about that. We keep an eye on the radar, and there's no one behind until their absolute comes from nowhere really. That completely caught me by surprise. We get a down SR over that. Bit unfair, I think, maybe. But the most important thing is the place has gone. And although we have retained 7th because someone else has pitted, that's not really a place. So, yeah, not great. A bit further around the lap, and we're still in 7th place. But a bit of a weird one. We're just on the normal racing line, and someone decides to go around the outside through the hairpin. Yeah, I mean, maybe I could give him a bit more room, but I'm really struggling to think why anyone would think that was a good idea to do that in the first place. He's also then going to get in my slipstream down into S's, but we're not even going to bother with that. We're just going to let them go. If they are determined to get past us, then they can have that 7th place. Probably on fresh softs, probably just faster than us anyway, so might as well. So that's us back down into 8th place. So come the end of the lap, and it was time for some fresh tyres. As we said before, we're going to go for mediums again. We don't need to put any fuel in, so there's no messing around with that. And we're just going to do, hopefully, a very nice, simple one-stop race. Now, I think one of the reasons I really struggled with the tyre wear here was not necessarily that the tyre wear was bad, I just wasn't really used to it. In all the races I've been doing on F1 2018 recently, we're doing 50% distance, so we're doing, I don't know, 25, 30 laps. And even though some of the tyres in that can wear quite quickly, the drop-off isn't that bad. Whereas on here, you know, the tyres are getting pretty worn within a couple of laps. It's quite a sudden drop-off as opposed to the F1 2018 sort of gradual drop in grip over the course of 10 to 15 laps. And that was a bit that caught me out. So there's sort of every time you're going round, particularly the S's, you've got a different level of grip. That just makes it tricky if you haven't put practice in, and hands up, I haven't been doing that. Anyway, back to the race itself. I had been enjoying these lovely fresh medium tyres for all of about 6, 7 corners maybe, until we got to the S's, and I was thinking, yeah, we can go fast through these again, we can really push. First couple, yeah, okay, not too bad, but we've gone desperately wide there. Basically not bothered with that one either, and it's cost us some time. It's also, I mean, we've got a penalty. We've also lost time to the car on the outside, who is going to try and go round the outside. Fair play, gives us the room, but we're going to have to serve a penalty straight away anyway, and we're going to lose even more time to him ahead, so that's us pretty solidly nailed into 10th place. Now, moving ahead towards the end of lap 7, and we're now in 8th. That's because a couple of people have pitted, and we're still on the tail of Stan Dude in the Mercedes. Coming up to the final couple of corners, and he stays quite wide, leaving us a bit of a gap to go into on the inside there. We go through the final corner, give him a bit of a nudge. He's actually pitting, but then is replaced by another driver. And it's our mate Yamal from earlier, who's mugged us completely there and has got the place going down the pit straight. Nice opportunistic manoeuvre from him there. Moving on a bit further in the lap, and we're heading towards our good old friend the S's again. The grip is starting to drop again as the tyres are getting worn, and we're going to just go through there a bit too fast. It's going to compromise us into that corner. This corner, we're going to take a bit too much of the inside, get too early on the throttle, and it's going to cause us all sorts of nonsense down there. We're going to bump into a wall, we're going to spin, we're going to go backwards, we're going to end up on the track eventually, and it's going to give us a penalty for that. Again, I know the game does that, it's still really harsh though to get a penalty for spinning. I don't think we really helped Mark to escort there either. We're expecting to serve a penalty, but we don't. I'm guessing we got the penalty too late and too close to the penalty gate maybe, so we're going to have to hold on to that for a little while longer. Now you can see on the radar that it's getting a bit of a traffic jam behind us. Stan Dude, who we saw pit earlier, has already managed to catch us, and this time has gone a lot more aggressive, gone up the inside. Mark to escort gets us there as well. We give him a bit of a nudge, accidental. He's actually pitting this lap as well. Guessing he probably wanted to get onto the right hand side of the track, and I was kind of blocking him. Didn't really hurt anyone's race there though, so fair dues, and we're now down into 10th place. Of course, we still have that penalty that we need to get rid of, so lap 9 is going to be the time. We're going to also compound our misery here by forgetting that you're going to have to downshift if you've been slowed down, and we end up just going down that whole straight extremely slowly, and it allows the driver behind to breeze past us, and that drops us to 11th place. And that was where I stayed. I didn't have the tyres or the grip or the pace or anything like that to actually attack the cars ahead of me. I had a nice comfortable gap to the car behind, so even though I was starting to slow down, they were just too far behind to actually catch me. And we came home in a moderately disappointing 11th place. It wasn't really the position that disappointed me with this, it was more that I made a lot of mistakes, but I know that I should do better than. So it's just more of the style of the 11th than the actual 11th itself. So how many points would that get me in my quest for manufacturer's glory? 293, slightly less than I got in the Nations Cup. Could be a lot worse though. Anyway, that's the end for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you did, then don't forget to like the video or to subscribe to the channel to see other videos like this or F1 2018, and let me know in the comments how you thought it went. For a first try back at the game for a few months, I don't think it went too badly, but let me know what you reckoned. But until next time, goodbye.